Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I have another battle in my Iowa. Now, I know what you're thinking, and while you're not necessarily wrong, I hope you're not too upset by the fact that this is two videos in a row and we're in the Iowa in both of them. But I do love my Iowa, you guys know this. And at least they're good matches, and this one's going to be a pretty good one as well. I know last night's was pretty badass, at least in my opinion. All the torpedo beats and then almost pulling it off in the last one. This one is going to be slightly different in the fact that we are going to have to hold our backside. Because it doesn't seem like, if I remember correctly, I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a little bit of an older clip. It's not that old. It was either right after the patch came out or right before the patch came out. I can't remember. But either way, this isn't that old of a match, but it was an absolutely ridiculous effort put in by me. Not necessarily the highest damage game in the world, not a bad damage game, but just the amount of work that I have to get done in order to make this a thing. Right off the bat, I've got a destroyer moving up to start capping. See, I'm doing what battleships are supposed to do, which is I am being focused by literally everybody on this side of the map, which should, in theory, make it easy for the guy to my right to get some easy damage while everybody's shooting at me. Now you can see everybody's setting me on fire. This is not where you want to be, because when you have this many people, and we get our first Citadel on that Miyoko, when you have this many people firing HE at you, especially Japanese cruisers with their amazing HE and potential to set you on fire, your health disappears in a rapid succession. Now the good thing about being HE and fire damage is that you can recover the majority of it, so it's not as bad as it seems. However, our destroyer is in a world of hurt because the cruiser that we let get away is headed straight for him. And we are being pushed up on by another cruiser to my right and a Scharnhorst. Now look at what my cruiser's doing. He's in an Attigo, and he is now pulling out broadside on in front of a Scharnhorst, and I can guarantee that he is spotted. He starts firing his guns at the cruiser, trying to save our destroyer. Unfortunately for our destroyer, it doesn't happen. He gets torped by a Miyoko. And unfortunately for the Attigo, I don't know why he took so long to get involved in the match, but now he has put himself in a terrible position and is not long for this world. And that means that it's about to be me versus literally everybody on this side. Now, we are doing some significant damage. We have the Scharnhorst down to about half health. We have the Miyoko down to about half health. And the second Miyoko that got through is probably hurting a little bit. I don't remember exactly how much we did to him, but, I mean, he's got in a fight with a close-range American gunboat, I believe, and then the Attigo. So, or the Otago? You know what I mean. This Miyoko suddenly decides he doesn't want to live anymore, and so, of course, we're not allowed to hit him. That's how that works, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. Spartan, why are you reversing in an Iowa? The main reason is because there's a lot of angry, torpedoes right here. You got two Miyokos, both fully capable of launching torpedoes from 10 kilometers out, and then a Scharnhorst. I don't want to be caught in there in a 900-foot-long ship that can't turn. Now, to our Attigo, I'm sorry, I call it an Attigo. If that's not correct, I apologize. You guys know I try, but then I fail. So, to his credit, he is trying not to die immediately, and we're going to try to help him out, and finally we get the shot off and knock out the Miyoko. And that leaves another Miyoko who is firing at our Attigo. And are we going to be able to save him? I keep looking over, getting ready. I know that the Scharnhorst is there. Come on, get the guns loaded. We've got to save our cruiser before we end up in a world of hurt. Come on, Spartan. Aim true. Looks good. Given a 2.5 mil lead. Are we going to hit? That looks pretty good to me. And Got him! Unfortunately, just, you know, that little bit too late to save our Atago. But we got both of those cruisers out of the way, which means we are very less likely to get torpedoed. But we know that there is a Scharnhorst very close. I'm going to start turning away from him. Why? Because I want to be able to keep ahead of his torpedoes. I know that he's got a 6-kilometer torpedo reach, maybe 6.5, I can't remember. But I don't want to be anywhere near in range as I am currently. Now, he is giving far too much broadside, but he's going to turn in slightly, as you can see. And so I wait for him to finish his turn, and I'm going to give him a parting gift. Now, he gets a pretty good armor-piercing salvo into the side of my ship, but we're just aiming a little high to try to get some pins through the superstructure and down in through the deck armor, and sure enough, 12,000 damage later, we did exactly what we wanted to. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the third gun in there because we were turning away. Now, what we're doing here is we're presenting an angle at which his armor piercing is going to be relatively ineffective. We're not sailing broadside to him, but we're able to, every time he fires his gun, be in a position to where he's likely to bounce off of us, and then we can just kind of move over, get our shots off for all 3 guns, and of course this time we only hit him with, you know, 4 rounds, one of which shattered, one of which penetrated, and the other 2 bounced. Not preferable, but, you know, it's to be expected when you're this close to a turtleback armored ship. It's hard to get those kinds of penetrations, even through superstructure hits and down into the deck armor, which is preferable. Now, we just temporarily knocked out one of his torpedo tubes, which is, you know, my kind of damage to get against these German torp battleships, but here we aim a little too far forward. Not able to get the kind of damage that we need, and then the last one gives us a nice penetration for 6,300 damage. And then this Benson shows up. Now, here's where I'm going to play a little bit of cat and mouse with the Benson. I know that he wants me. I know that torps are likely on the way very soon, if not already. And so I'm going to trick him. I'm going to make him think that I'm going for the Scharnhorst just long enough for me to get loaded, and then I'm going to quickly turn my ship left and get my guns on target. Now, he immediately freaks out and turns, and that slows him down and gives us a beautiful surface for these armor piercing. Now, yes, they're all overpins, 5 overpins, but the significant amount of damage that we just inflicted means he is now a one-shot kill for us, even with armor piercing. I do not need to load high explosive. And that's something that I refuse to do most of the time in a battleship versus destroyers, because high explosive is just too inconsistent against destroyers from a battleship. Now, obviously, if you're in a cruiser, if you're in another destroyer, you definitely want to be using that high explosive, because that's where you're going to get most of your damage, because overpins for you guys do basically nothing. At least the overpins for us, and oh my god, I had just started to turn in, and he's caught me right here. It's going to take so long to get the ship to turn back the other way that I'm definitely catching one. Now, we'd slowed down a little bit to make sure we only caught one, because much more than one, and that's a death. But we managed to get rid of him. That's the main thing. That's a huge win for the team. Now, notice the rest of my team is as far away from us as possible. We got a destroyer that's capping B, which is good. We managed to get rid of the Benson, which means he doesn't have to worry about the Benson. And then we get a nasty penetration through the superstructure and down into the deck for the Scharnhorst, giving us about 14,000 damage. And we're up to 125,000 damage, but we are 2 kilometers away from the Scharnhorst. All the maneuvering that I've had to do, the slowing down for the torps, has allowed him to close the distance, which means it is going to be next to impossible for me to get out of the way of his torpedoes. Luckily for me, I don't need to get out of the way of his torpedoes, because all I need to do is kill him to secure this side of the map. We do. Down he goes, and unfortunately, I am not going to be able to swing this behemoth around to get out of the way of all these torps. But we did enough to secure our side of the map. We held out long enough for our team to be able to get multiple cap points and secure the win. Now, there are 2 battleships and a destroyer versus 1 destroyer. And this could go very easily in the destroyer's favor. Anytime you're in a destroyer versus battleships, this is just honey hole territory. But we have an Akatsuki, and as long as we have a destroyer that's capable of moving around, keeping the cap points defended, and assisting with the battleships as needed, then I feel like we have a pretty good chance of maintaining our lead. even if we lose a battleship, even if we lose both battleships, I still have a pretty good feeling that between having the 2 cap points and them having 0 cap points, we are going to win this match. As you can see, currently we have almost a 400-point advantage. Now, it is a 120-point swing every time a battleship is sunk. So they get 60 points, and we lose 60 points. So that's a 120-point swing every time you lose a battleship. That's how heavily weighted the battleships are. So you definitely don't want to lose a battleship, but if you do, the maximum we can lose from this as far as points towards the enemy and given away from the enemy is 240. And that's not enough for them to overcome the deficit. He would literally have to kill all 3 of them at this point. So with that in mind, they're going hunting for this destroyer. They have a pretty good idea where they are at. The battleships had them last spotted, running away from them up towards the mountains here. The Akatsuki's doing the right thing, not coming towards the battleships, but likely just trying to cut the destroyer off. And by doing that, he's going to be able to spot the destroyer and give the battleship something to shoot at. Now, as you can see, this guy in the guide that's running is just throwing torpedoes out there hoping to hit something. He's not actually trying to aim the torpedoes at the ships. He's hoping that he catches these guys slipping. They're not stupid. They're sailing straight towards the location that they think he is. He's running behind the island. They know this. Now here's where I would expect one of the battleships to peel off in front of the island and the other one continue to chase behind the island as they're doing. Because you want to limit how many ships are in a narrow corridor with a destroyer against you. Now here's a dangerous move by the Nagato. He knows that that guy's got to be getting close to being reloaded if he's not already reloaded, and Torp's in the water, and he's given way too much broadside for my comfort. Now, the Japanese battleships aren't too bad as far as turning goes, but you still don't want to chance fate by giving this much of the side of your ship. And it looks like the Nagato obviously is like, you know what, I don't feel comfortable right now. So he starts turning. Just at this time, our Akatsuki pulls through and spots the destroyer. And hey, look! There were torpedoes in the water. And unfortunately, he's going to catch at least one. Or, yeah, he caught one right in the torpedo belt. You know, it is what it is. Now, I kind of get mad at the game when torpedo belt hits cause flooding, because the whole point of the torpedo belt is to avoid that. That's why it's thicker there. That's the whole point of a torpedo belt, is, you know, reduce damage taken from torpedoes. It's pretty obvious. But unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to matter. And this guy has beached himself on a cove with nowhere to go, 2 battleships very close to him, and a very angry destroyer who is launching all the torpedoes. And guess what, Sunshine? It's too late. He takes a really nasty Japanese destroyer torpedo, and that's the end of his game. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you liked it. I hope you aren't too mad at me. Top of the leaderboard, 2,500, almost 2,600 base XP with 4 kills. Not bad. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.